what's up, YouTube? This is your host with the most, King Chill. So, I want to say to you guys, each and every one of you, happy Sunday, happy whatever day, whenever it is that you see this video. So, I wanted to address something. As the whole United States is going around thinking who's going to be the next senator, the next mayor, the next governor, who's going to win the majority, we are forgetting one thing. Well, there's several things that we are forgetting that none of any of the candidates that I've seen so far has mentioned. And I'm going to say why. Last week in Coney Island, New York, a young woman drowned her 3 kids. A week before that, a young woman in one of the southern states, I forgot which one, but you can Google it, killed her 2 babies, slit their throats, did a FaceTime, called the baby's father, and said what she was going to do, and she did it. As sad as that may be, as horrendous as it is, and appalling, no candidate has been addressing, and not even the president, but he's not a candidate, has been addressing mental health issues. The other day, a young man from Puerto Rico who went to Iraq twice, twice, okay, didn't have any problems, but was having problems mentally after he came out of Kuwait. After he did his second tour, was in the States. His father called him and said, come to Puerto Rico, I'll help you out. After a few months of the VA in Puerto Rico postponing his date to get medication, to see a psychiatrist, whatever the case may be, the young man turned on his father and killed him. Allegedly. And from what we know, he was very close to his father. His father was everything. And we're not mentioning the mental issue that we have in this country. We're not. We're still not doing the issue of police brutality. Just yesterday I saw a video where a police officer stopped a young man who was outside waiting outside his job. I didn't see what time it was, but it was at night. He had just gotten out of work, was waiting for his dad to come pick him up. A white officer stopped him. He was already stopped him, asked him for his ID, and he said, I have my ID here, which is his badge, which is his work ID. And when I asked him for his ID, he said, why do I have to give you ID? I'm telling you, I work here. I'm in front of my place. I'm waiting for my dad to come pick me up. It was raining outside. The officer was persistent. I need to see your ID, and he said, but I'm showing you. He didn't have to show him his ID. Why was he stopping? Because he said, oh, because you're loitering. Loitering from what? Did he forget as a law enforcement officer what the law of loitering is, or what the word loitering is? Which you obviously saw the kid was not doing. So he persisted on arresting the young man for loitering and resisting arrest, which he did none of. His father came over, and his father finally got there, and was like, "Why were you arresting my son?" And he told him, he said, "Well, my son resisting arrest? I doubt that." And the officer arrested him for no apparent reason, because he wanted to be a dick. Okay, we're not addressing that part of the issue here in the United States either. Now, if you ask any congressman from the Republican Party, and they tell you there is no system, there's no racial systemic. This country is not racially motivated. That these officers are not racially motivated. They don't see a guy or a woman or a man who's black skinned or brown. They don't see them as a threat. You could be doing anything. You could not be doing anything, and they still want to harass you. Not all. I'm not saying this in general. I'm not saying this in all. But you have these officers that got nothing better else to do but then to harass people just because of the color of their skin. The President Biden still hasn't done anything about that. The Republican Party hasn't done anything about that. The Democrats hasn't done anything about that. Now, Biden did pass an Asian hate law for hate crime, made it a federal law that if you go after an Asian, you're going to prison federally. But what happened to when police officers beat and kill a black or an Hispanic person, or kills anyone for that matter, why aren't they being held accountable for it? Because they're a police officer. And mind you, the dash cam for that officer was not turned on until maybe like 2 or 3 minutes later. And they cleared him. They cleared this officer from any wrongdoing. When you could hear in the in the camera that the officer was in the wrong. You could have simply said, "Yo, man, what are you doing out here?" "Oh, I'm just waiting for my dad to come pick me up." All right. So you waiting for your dad to pick you up? You work here? Yeah, I work right here. You see the kid is in uniform, because he's in uniform with a shirt on the job. And he showed him his ID. Okay, fine, no problem. You just want to make sure that you were okay and nothing was going on. That's it, and you leave. Simple. Simple. But there are some officers that get this badge and they want to play hero. They think they want to play hero. And you cannot tell me for the life of me that there is no racist cop or there's racist people in this country, which there is. And it's getting to the point that you get tired of listening to the same bullshit over and over again, and no one is doing anything about it. Nobody. Not from the Democrats, and definitely not from the Republicans. But no one is doing something about it. And then when something tragic does happen, like those 3 young kids and those 2 young kids in the other state that died, were killed, and that's when something happens, a little minute thing happens. Okay? I'm all for people having guns in this country. Okay? Or in any country, to be for the matter. If that's the law of that country. Okay? Guns don't kill people. Because a gun cannot pick up a person and kill a person. But you can make a law where the use of guns can be held by responsible people. And how do you do that? You have to go into that person's mental history. You have to do it. Okay? It's plain and simple. There has to be a way without infringing the Second Amendment right. Which is Second Amendment right? We all know, anyone who have taken a school of civics or have gone to law school, Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms, was never meant for a person to bear arms so they could protect themselves. The truth reason behind it is because they didn't want black people to arm themselves. Could you imagine if you're a slave owner? And as a slave owner, the person that you illegally contracted, okay, has a gun and can just blow your brains away because you're keeping them in captivity? Can you imagine that? No. So they make up this rule. This law is for militia. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. You can't say anything otherwise than that. So, going back to the mental health issue, why aren't we addressing that? A drug addict has an issue with his brain because he's addicted to a certain chemical, like an alcoholic. Once it becomes an addiction, it becomes a disease now. And I will tell you when it becomes a disease. I'll give you an example of my brother. My brother, may he rest in peace, he started off with an addiction. And my brother was in jail he spent most of his time in jail, but nothing serious, it's stupid shit, but stupid shit still gets you in jail, right? Never hurt no one, never killed no one, never injured nobody, but he injured himself. In the fact that what I'm talking about injuring himself was that every time you go to jail, you don't want to, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting those around you. So, he went to prison one time and he was there for 5 years. And I think 3 or 5 years. And the first thing he thought about was, when he came out, was drugs. You're gonna tell me that you were locked up for so long, and that's all you think about when you came out? Okay. Now, mind you, he is in prison. Some correctional facilities do have a drug program. You do have AA meetings and you do have NA meetings. Some, not all. And that's when you get the help that you need. Unfortunately, my brother didn't do that. I digress. So we have that mental problem too. That's not being addressed. People in the right side, people on the right, complain about, that Joe Biden was giving needles or whatever they gave me to crackheads. Or was giving needles to people. Look, man, in order for you to understand this to another level, you have to walk in the shoes of an addict. You have to have had been an addict or an alcoholic to know what's going on. Okay. The only reason that you will do a needle exchange program, the only reason that you will put a house right there so that for addicts can go in, is because when you have a syringe that's dirty, you could have it in. It could be that person could inject himself. That person could have tuberculosis. That could have tuberculosis. Could have HIV, and a kid can walk around, or anyone can walk around and can poke themselves with that. They're exposing someone. So what you do is, instead of seeing that needle in the street, you will see that needle disposed in its proper way. Okay? And if that person wanted to get high in that facility, then that person can. Okay, I prefer seeing that than seeing this person get high in the streets and watching my kids go through that, or watching anybody's kid go through that and say, Mom, why is that person drowsy? Why is that person? I prefer that. But you can't do that here because everything that you do to help another person is being questioned. Do you want these facilities to be in a place where the kids are at or school is at? Maybe not. But it has to be placed somewhere. We have to do something. We have to battle drugs as a mental problem. When it becomes, when you're addicted and you start, you can call it an addiction at the beginning, but it becomes a problem. And that's what you have to address. I don't mind flipping the bill for a drug house, and I know, because I've been there, I was an alcoholic before, and I know that the transition of you getting that person, a drug addict, to realize what he or she is doing wrong is very minimum. So what you do is, what I'm trying to say is that when the addict wakes up, because while the addict is taking his drugs, he or she's not going to do anything. He or she's not going to want to need help. But when that person wakes up from the addiction and says, you know what, I need my other hit, and they're in that facility and they say they need that other hit, that's when you can grab that person and say, you know what, why don't we go to, let me take you to a rehab program, let me take you to detox, let me do this, let's do this together. Because most people, when you get them in that state, they will go because they're tired, and that's all they know how to do. Most people don't go because they're always around people who are using, or they themselves have no people to support them. They don't have a support. That in itself is very important. So when you don't have that, you don't have anything. So what you do is just go around and use. And you say to yourself, well, that's all I know how to do. So you got to get that person's mind to think of saying, that's all I know how to do, to I can do better than this. I can become what I once was before I even started this. It's got to be, you got to change that mind of thought. And how you do this, you take that person away from people, places, and things. And the only time you can do that is when that person is in his right state of mind, and that is when his high is going down. That is the only way you can do that. And if you don't build these places for these people, they're not going to go into a drug rehab unless they're forced to. Okay, most addicts say, "Oh, rehab programs don't work for me. They don't do anything for me." A rehab program does work. The problem is that you have to make it want to work. You have to go in there with a positive mind and say, I'm going to work this out. I want to get off of drugs. I want to get off of alcohol. And it will happen. It will take some time. It will be hard. Trust me. But it can be done if you take it day by day. And you go into these programs with an open mind. If you go into that program and say, this is not going to work for me. I've done this before. Blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work because you're already setting yourself up for failure. You're already setting yourself up, and that's what you don't want to do. Stop telling your loved ones, you're not about an addict, you're not about alcoholic. Stop doing that. Give the person the love and the support that they need. You may say, you may say to yourself, I've been doing that for a long time. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Still keep on doing it. Because it's going to, eventually, hopefully, it will click. Going back to the mental issue. Why aren't none of these, everybody's complaining about high prices, high gas prices, or they're buying this inflation. Listen, Biden has nothing to do with inflation. The inflation is a worldwide thing. There's inflation all over the world, not just in the United States of America. Okay? Gas prices is high all over the world. Okay? If you don't want to think of gas prices here, go to other countries. And you see how gas prices are in there pre-COVID. And you're like, oh, wow. I made videos of it where in Ireland, it's $7 a gallon, naturally. In Japan, it's $11 a gallon, naturally. So you complain when gas prices go up. Then you blame Biden, you blame the House, but yet you don't see when Chevron, when Exxon, when Total in Puerto Rico, when those CEOs are saying, we're not going to pump more, we're not going to drill anymore, we're not going to give out more money, we're not going to give out more gas, oil. What we're going to do is that we're going to reinvest that money within us, which means that the CEO is going to get more money, the CEO is going to get bonuses. That's what that means. You don't see that part because you choose not to see that part, because that part doesn't, for you, it doesn't bother you. What doesn't matter to you. What matters to you is what you're paying at the pump. Okay? $3 is some cents a gallon. Yeah, it's a lot. But you've been through worse. Okay? People cry about gas prices, but yet they fucking pay $15 a pack for a pack of cigarettes. Here in North Carolina, a pack of cigarettes is $13. In New York, it's $15. You go to the city, it's even more. Or those who smoke. Those who don't smoke, don't worry about that. But think about that. Inflation is everywhere. The price of gas high is everywhere. You cannot blame one administration because gas price, because no administration can control the gas. They can't. No matter what they do, we can produce more. We can produce more oil, but we can't go to OPEC and say, "Yo, reduce the gas prices." I mean, all you can do is ask them to produce more oil. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. So why are we addressing oil prices, the inflation, and we're not addressing mental illness? Why aren't we doing that? Because that is very important. That's why you see the killings that you see nowadays. That's why you see these young kids. The kid that did those kids from Uvalde. You know, God forbid, man. That was a sad day in America. Okay, that was a sad day in America. And this kid, you know, he threw out there signs. He threw out there what he was going to do. When I turn 18, I'm gonna buy a gun. I'm gonna do this. That's a red flag. Why wasn't this kid red flag? Why wasn't this kid, when he turned 18 years old, being watched? Huh? Why? Because he was a threat. He posted it on social media. So we're going around again complaining about gas prices and inflation, but we're not addressing the mental health problem. Why? You know why we don't do it? Because not we. I'm talking about the people who don't do it. It's because it's not affecting them. If it doesn't affect them, they can care less. But gas prices affects everybody because you drive. You have to eat, so when you buy, it affects you because you're paying higher to buy groceries. So that affects people. That affects us as a nation. But when it comes to mental health, that doesn't affect each and every one of us. It only affects few. So if it only affects a few and not all, then the country won't care. Congress don't care because it's not affecting Congress. Okay? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If it happened to a community, the community would care. If it happened to one individual, the community wouldn't care because it's not affecting them. It was a one-time thing that this person got robbed. One thing that this person got this thing was an isolated thing. And that's the way some people, or the majority of the people, see things. It is very unfortunate. But as a nation, as a whole, we're not doing anything about it. We're not addressing mental health as we should. And I keep going back to the same thing, because it's not affecting you, but it affects all of us when you see another human being take another human being's life for no simple reason, only because that person suffered of mental problems, when that person could have been in a facility, or that person could have been in treatment. Something could have been done for that person, but yet the state, the county, the city didn't do anything because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't. And it's sad, because it hurts me, it affects me emotionally, that I have to see a brother kill another brother, or a sister kill another sister, for the dumbest things there is in the world. Why? Because people just don't think. They react too quickly. Where I live at, there's a guy who's been roaming the streets for 2 years. He talks to himself. So far, he's never bothered nobody. He's known. I give him a couple of dollars here. Niggas never bothered me. Wear dreads and all that. And no one seems to take that young man, take him to a hospital, diagnose him, give him new clothes, give him, feed him, try to find out what is going on. How can we help him? They don't do that. What if this guy one day snaps? I hope he doesn't. So far, he hasn't showed that. So far, he's never been aggressive. So when are we gonna address that? Why can this young man be taking? They take bad people on the street when they commit a crime, or when they don't commit a crime. People say, "Oh, you know what? This person's not good for us. We want him out of this. We want him out of this community." Why haven't that? Why did they think people who are mentally ill and put them somewhere until they can, they diagnose that person? So this person is okay as long as this person stays on meds. Because meds too, that gets tiring. A person on meds all the time. If it works, fine. But if it doesn't, try to find alternatives. There's sometimes there are places for people with mental problems, they don't know where to go. They have no place to go. Like where I live at, there's no place to go for people for mental illness. Recreational wise, or whatever the case may be. So you have to find what this person likes, what they like to do, stuff like that. But we spend money on other things, on irrelevant things. But we can't spend money on things that matters to us. That matters to us as a society, as a whole. We don't. We spend millions of dollars on politicians. You spend $1 million. You spend your hard-earned money. You send a senator or mayor or whatever they can be for his campaign $2, $3, $4, $5. Right? You donate to their campaign, but you can't donate to help others. Why would I donate $5 for a campaign that I'm not going to see this mayor ever in my life? Or this senator, I'm never going to meet the senator. The senator is never going to come to my house and spend time with me and talk to me. So why should I spend money on him? I shouldn't. Why should I spend money when I see the roads are all dirty? When I see the schools are all bad? When I see that there's no police in my neighborhood? But yeah, we have a police station, but you don't see no police. You don't. So why should I pay for that? We need to get into the roots of these things. We need to help our VAs. We need to help those with mental problems, and we need to keep away from the streets bad officers. We need to take that away. Bad officers, bad teachers, we need to take it away. Those teachers that are having sex with their students, we should never even be licensed at all. Officers that abuse their power should never be in the force at all. They should do a mental assessment every year to see how they are mentally. Because if you think about it, most of these young bucks that go into the police force, all they go into the police force because they have a gun and badge. They think they're playing Cowboys and Indians. And as you keep and the more people with badges in the streets and hatred in their hearts, this will continue to happen. More blacks and more Hispanics are going to die because we're not addressing that problem. We want to bring officers in, but yet we're not screening them correctly. You know, you say Joe Biden wants to defund. People saying defund the police, but no one ever said that Joe Biden doesn't want to defund the police. Joe Biden wants to give more money to the police. But you can't give more money to the police if you're not willing to take the steps. You know, I'm going to give more money. I want to put more police officers in the street. But you have to get mental help. You have to do a mental assessment every year, just to see how they can. Don't you think that officers don't go through stress in the streets? Of course they do. It's not the same thing as going into combat, but they go through mental stress. They go through mental stress. Some of these officers take their stress from home. They take it to their jobs, and that's no good when you have an officer who's having home problems, who's having problems with his marriage, or is having problems at home, and he brings that problem with him to work. Because what happens when he stops someone? He's going to take that anger on somebody else, when that anger should have never been taken out in the first place. You have problems at home, you leave that at home. You have problems with a friend, you leave that with that friend. You have problems with your wife. Well, the minute you lock that door from your house and you leave, that problem stays there. The problem that you have at work, you never even go into your house either, unless you want to, you know, cool down period. You want to talk to your wife. You know, you need that period where you want to talk to someone because you want to vent. Then that's okay. But don't bring your job to home and your home problems to work. That's what a lot of officers do. You know, I don't know why an officer has to be screaming at someone or to be yelling at someone when a person asks you, show me your ID, and they don't want to show you the ID. Then if the law of that state says that the person does not have to show you any ID, then why are you getting mad? That's what the law states. You're there to uphold the law. And you're not doing that by being the a-hole that you are. You know, vote for the person who's doing the right thing for your community. Vote for the person who you think is going to do right. Don't vote. I'm telling you something, please. Don't vote for Herschel Walker. Not because he's a Republican. He's just a moron. He's just there to be there. This is a man who doesn't even speak right. This is a man who doesn't even pay child support. Okay? This is a man who knows nothing about science. He's just there because he's a Republican and he has money. And what Republican that you know that don't have money? And he's being backed up by Trump. And I don't say that because he's being backed up by Trump. Even if he wasn't being backed up by Trump, and by the way that he speaks, and by the way the things that he says, I would never vote for him. I wouldn't. So, with that said, stop voting Democrat or Republican. Stop voting blue or red. Vote for the person who is going to do good for your community. Don't vote for Smo Joe because he's a Republican, he's your friend. No. Vote for the person who's going to do good for your community, that's going to do good for the state. Leave church out of this. Leave religion out of this. Because trust me, God does not care who the head of the Congo, who the head of the United States is. He just wants his word to be known. He tells us, if you know the word of God, go out and spread it. That's what he told his disciples. Jesus told his disciples, go out and spread my word. Go out and spread my word. That's it. And with that, my friend, I'm about to go to work. I have to be at work. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Subscribe to my channel. Share this. And let's just get along, man. I know we can't get along with everybody, okay? Everybody's not likable. Everybody's not, you're not getting along with everybody. But at least let's try to be peaceful with one another. All right?